Namaskar. Hello and welcome to PGurus channel. I'm your host 𝙒𝙖𝙩𝙨. DGI-381 is just now rolling out, and apologies for starting 30 minutes late. We had a lot of information coming in even as we were getting ready to go online. Let's welcome our co-host of the show, Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar. Good morning to everybody. Happy to be here on this wonderful post-election day.
Yes, indeed. Sridharji, right out, before we go into the other things, looks like in the G20 meeting, Vladimir Putin is not going to be present. And if you look at that and look at the other fact that Zelensky has dropped that Putin not be the premier of Russia before sitting down for talks, something is telling me that perhaps all is not well with Putin's health.
Well, I think we covered this. There clearly is something not right. That's what I would say. We don't just come here and sit and make advocacy and reports. It's based on data that we see. Sometimes the data that we see and we validate by ourselves. There are indications that clearly that he's not well and he has not been well. Now,
thank you.
Yes,
sir. I thought you were done. Please go ahead, sir.
No, very clearly, I think he's not coming because it's not going to be a very productive meeting. The G20 meeting is going to be quite acrimonious, and we'll get to this in as we get along to the agenda rather than
yes. I just wanted to give that breaking news, and let's now jump into the US midterm elections. Can we have the slide, please, so Sridharji can start talking to that? Go ahead, sir.
Yes, great. Thank you so much. So I think as we speak, Republicans are very close to winning the House. They've got about 207. By some of my reports indicate they've hit about 210, and still about 40 seats left. So even if they pick up 10 to 20 seats or 15 seats out of that, they're well past the 218 mark. We had forecast that they would pick up net somewhere between 12 to 15 seats. And some people even went to the extent of saying they may hit 230. I believe somewhere they will finish between 220 to 225. That would be the number. That's still clearly well above, very similar to what the Democrats had before the term. The Democrats had, I think if I'm correct, 230, 232. And 231, and the Republicans had 214, so making it about 435 seats total. 2 seats were vacant. So the media is giving a big spin as though it's not a red wave. It's not a red wave. The fact that the Democrats have lost the majority, notwithstanding many gubernatorial candidates picking up, is a reflection that the Republican voice was heard, and some of the seats that for example, the Ohio, Florida, some of the states, it's a clean sweep. New York, Manhattan was blue, whereas Long Island was red. They have picked up very notable seats in a very deep slate called New York. The results are still trickling in from California, which is the other blue state, and the Republicans have done very well. So in my view, that the economic agenda and the other things have certainly played in the minds of the people. Whether Biden is willing to listen or not is a different matter. In fact, in the post-interview, he said he will do nothing different except continue the same what he has been doing for the last 2 years. And I would say, thank God, if he does that, there will be a better president. Doesn't matter whether it's a Democrat or a Republican next time in the White House region.
Before we go to the Senate, Sridharji, I see a sea of red, SEA of red of United States. Every suburban area now has decidedly turned red. If you look at majority of the states, and now I have to go back to my book. And if you look at my book, I said 6 states are the ones that hold the key to what happens to the future of United States. And this is as true as it was when it was written, Sridharji.
It is very true. It is very, very true that there is a very clearly, in fact, I wrote a piece which is to say, this election has clearly established, if you are red, become redder. If you are blue, become bluer. So that is very clearly the message that is coming out. So there has been a demographic shift, and there has been movement of people. For example, Manhattan saw a good chunk of people either go to Texas or to Florida. And when you look at the Florida results, that speaks for itself. Rubio was just basically 3 basis points up in the Senate, and he won by more than 12 percentage points. And then, 300 basis points up, and then he won actually more than 12%. And when you look at DeSantis, he's won by 20%. So he's turned decisively the state into a red state. I mean, you can still go back to the previous, which is the house that you were referring to. So this is what Sri is referring to, which is namely, you can see that there is a very wide dispersion of red districts, equally in concert with some of the blue districts. So the blue states have reported strongly blue, but you are beginning to see the appearance of red in some of the blue areas. It may not make much impact in the presidential election because the votes get transferred in block, but it's very important in the House and Senate elections.
And now let's take a look at the Senate, sir. Can we have the Senate, please? Now, in this, again, the ones that are in play, Arizona, Nevada, and a runoff in Georgia. See, 3 of the 6 states that we said that could be, determining this US presidency. Now, Sridharji, 41 million ballots were posted today in this election. 41. Even that to me sounds abnormally high, sir. Why can't some of us take our white bags and go and cast our vote where the ID needs to be checked?
Why? Pandemic teaches several lessons. Habits teach certain lessons. The most archaic and obsolete electoral process and system in the most advanced nation is a reflection of the tragedy that continues to haunt United States. So therefore, why not harness and exploit the system if you want to derive any political advantage? That seems to be the agenda. So the Democrats continue to encourage that everybody should do postal ballots, and so the postal ballots are coming through. I think this is the other reason why some of the close elections that the Republicans have lost, they claim, is because either people didn't turn up or people were unwilling to vote, Sriji. And we're not going to be able to change the attitude of the people. And once you have established this model, which can be successfully skimmed and successfully harnessed, why to change it?
Yes, indeed. And I'm going to stick my neck out and make a prediction that the Senate is going to be again 50-50. Although, because the Congress would be a Republican majority, I think the Vice President would find it a little bit harder to do the casting vote every time in one direction. This is my 2 cents. Sridharji, you can agree or disagree with me, but this is how I see it, sir. Because the 3 remaining things, in one, the Republicans are in lead, and in the second, the Democrats are in lead, and the third one is a runoff. And in the runoff, people are saying that the 2% that is separating the top 2, there is a libertarian candidate, and those people will vote Democrat because that person drops out. The top 2 go for runoff. Your thoughts, sir?
My thoughts are that maybe, I'd like to be on the opposite side. I feel that the Republicans will get 51. I think Adam Laxalt is going to, which we said he would, is going to pick up Nevada. So that'll be 50. The 51st will come, and my view, Blake Masters will edge his way in Arizona. Believe it or not, this is a state which had problems and continues to have problems. I don't want to say mea culpa, but it is again Maricopa, which is at the center of the problem. They have 400,000 ballots not counted, and they ran out of ballots on the election day. Remember, ballot papers they ran out. You talk about, the astonishing kind of incompetency, and this is astonishing incompetency in the state of Arizona, and they conducted enough kind of, investigations, inquiries, and commissions to look into the data, but they have not moved an inch. But very tragic.
Okay. Thank you, sir. And we'll go back into the midterm results in just a little bit. But let's first go back to the main news, which is starting with markets. Markets had a 600-point slump yesterday when they saw that perhaps the Republicans might not get control of the House and Senate. But today, I think it looked positive. Sridharji, futures look good today, sir. We're going to be starting, or if you started any minute now.
No, I think the future starts, it's at 9:30. Yeah, it should be in about an hour's time.
Yeah.
The futures, when I came in, was pointing a little positive, but let's wait and see. I think tomorrow we'll see, it's up 62 points. The Dow is up 62 points, and the S&P is up about 10 points, and Nasdaq is about 48 points. So I think that there's some internalization going on that, after all, the media got it wrong and things are looking a little better.
And now let's take a look at China news on the recently concluded meeting of bankers in Hong Kong. So let's just take a quick look at what's happening in China. Foreign investors desert China and Hong Kong markets with dimming hopes of recovery. 10 billion withdrawn in the last 2 months. China wants Lithuania to back away from Taiwan business ties. Biden says Xi meeting at G20 summit would discuss US-China red lines, and Tokyo sees a stable relationship with China. Sridharji, talk to us a little bit about what happened in this particular meeting that took place in Hong Kong of bankers.
Well, I think we had reported to a few bankers turned up from United States, but from my conversations with some of my ex-colleagues and some of the colleagues who are still in the industry, that many didn't turn up because they're quite apprehensive about the policies. They were also very apprehensive as to what is likely to come by way of Hong Kong as a specific market. Because Hong Kong used to be the hedge between mainland China and rest of the world, but the policies of the present Emperor Xi has not been encouraging. And the confrontation that China has with rest of the world doesn't bode well, because the bankers don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So there was reluctance from the bankers to attend this specific, and quite a few institutions didn't turn up for that meet.
And German government blocks prospective Chinese investment in the Dortmund-based Elmos, and also investment in ERS Electronic, which is based in southern state of Bavaria. Sridharji, so we have some things happening in the northern part, especially in the port of Hamburg, from where Olaf Scholz makes his calls home. So Germany is a little confused state, sir?
Germany is in a confused state. The reason we picked up this news and put is that when we put this, I think 3-4 shows ago about this potential Elmas,
yes,
there was a tweet which said, "You guys are a bit late, and deal is already done." So we wanted to put and say, no deal is done until the deal is done. This is where people get, because you have social media and social channels, they feel they have the entitlement and power to write. No, the Elmas deal has been rebutted for the fear of security. Not only that, the ERS, which is electronic parts and electronic, that has also been rebutted. So there is definitely growing fear amongst the German establishment, especially the government, which is slightly different to the businesses. The businesses feel we must continue to kind of deal with China, because having tasted that as a marketplace, there is still some resistance from the business. But in a political context, I think there is an apprehension. Especially Germans have now learned the lesson based on their deal with Russia and what they have inflicted to themselves and to Europe.
And now let's take a quick look and wrap up some of the happenings in United States. Several new members joined the progressives. Greg Caesar of Texas, Maxwell Frost of Florida. This kid is 25 years old, the youngest congressman ever to get elected in US, I think. You can correct me, sir. Summer Lee of Pennsylvania, Delia Ramirez of Illinois, and they're all joining the squad group. The squad group itself has made it intact. Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, Rashida Tlaib, and Pramila Jayapal. And now we have Cory Bush and Jamal Brown, who was also added in 2020. Cory Bush, I think, is a senator. Sridharji, the squad is becoming bigger, but I think their bite is getting smaller.
No, sir. It is going the other way. So I think that the progressives are saying they're expanding the group. They have grown from 4 to 6, 6 to 10. Surprisingly, Pramila Jayapal's name doesn't figure. I don't know whether she's a presidential aspirant, whether she wants to be part of that or just, dip in and dip out. We don't know. But these other 10 people have demonstrated that they have come back with strength and winning respective constituencies or respective seats with comfortable majority. And now they want to go ahead and tell President Biden that you should not contest 2024 and you should stop your economic agenda and get back to the progressive agenda. So we are going to see more noise. Whether this is going to split the Democrats, time will tell. But clearly, sir, as you rightly said, that some of these people could be brewing trouble for the Democratic Party itself.
Yes, and one more Indian American got added as a congressman. He got elected. We'll talk more about this in detail, maybe on the next DGI. I'm still gathering information. So a lot of Indian Americans put up very, very strong fights in the fight against Ro Khanna. Ritesh Tandon polled 31% of the vote. We haven't got the final numbers yet. It was 28% in 2020. So he has shifted or moved the needle by 3%. There was one other Democrat versus Democrat fight in the area that covers Palo Alto. In that, Rishi Kumar, I heard, has got 41% versus 59% for Anna Eshoo. Anna Eshoo has been the congresswoman from there for donkey's years. So I don't know if that means that the shift is still going. This is a Democrat versus Democrat. So a lot of things are happening in and around the United States about how the Indian Americans are fared. So we will give you more data on our next DGI because the results have not been confirmed yet. Let's take a look at what happened in India, where Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar had visited Moscow. Sridharji, India and Russia are to expand trade cooperation, especially in the energy sector, with bilateral trade crossing 17 billion in the first 9 months of 2022, and they are targeting a number of 30 billion. Where will the additional numbers come from, sir?
Expanded, Russia has got, India leverages Russia on at least 4 fronts. One is defense. The second is, first is primarily now petroleum and adjacent petroleum products, number 1. Number 2 is obviously military, which is very big. Number 3 is the fertilizers, right? It obtains a number of fertilizers that it requires for the agriculture. That's the third area. I think the fourth area we may see, which they're talking about, is around the space collaboration. Russian space industry badly needs some element of commercialization and help. So therefore, I think these probably the 4 areas that they would look to in terms of expansion. The fact that they want to think about an energy corridor and whether they want to use that proposal was offered to Turkey. I don't know whether Turkey is taking it up, but they want to create an energy hub, which comprises of both natural gas as well as their petroleum products. But the refining will happen on behalf of Russia and then exported. We don't know. But that's another area. So very clear that India is playing a big part in trying to get Russia back mainstream, alleviating from the confrontational approach. That is very clear based on what some of the stuff that is going on, Sriji.
And India saves over 4 billion through solar power and 19.4 million tons of coal in the first 6 months of 2022. Very impressive that India is trying to wean itself away from coal, Sridharji.
No, India is trying to wean and also augment it's because it's only new minings have started. It is trying to manage the supply. If you recall that they put a whole logistics framework together to make sure that it has got enough coal to move towards their respective coal plants that they operate. But the fact that India is very big solar power and probably the largest in the world, and they have demonstrated that they are also achieving this containment of the green gas emissions is augurs very well from an Indian point of view.
And India's current account deficit has a counter-cyclical shock absorber, meaning like for every rupee of depreciation versus the dollar, there is an export increase by about $250 million. Sridharji, now we see or we think that the CAD will start inching up again by maybe about 5 billion a month.
The foreign reserves is likely to increase in the FY. Current account deficit is expected to be 3.5% of GDP or 3.5% this current fiscal year FY22. With the continued depreciation, there was fear and apprehension whether there is going to be a CAD blowout. We talked about the trade deficits, and we talked about, as a result, the consequent impact on the costs around the balance sheet of the government. This is a report that has come out which shows that actually in FY23, India could finish with a CAD of 3%, reducing from 3.5%. So there's a very positive effect that is coming out because of the appreciation, because of these services, as well as these IT exports that India does with US dollar denominated countries.
And now let's take a look at Europe. Vladimir Putin will not travel to Indonesia, but would be joining via a video link for the G20 summit. Now it is, more and more being confirmed that the Russian troops are leaving the Kherson area and they are crossing the Dnipro River, and that essentially means that they are abdicating the Kherson region. Should we make that conclusion, Sridharji?
I think that we can make that conclusion, notwithstanding the fact some people are still wary. I have a feeling that there is some resolution coming, as you correctly kind of framed it. I think it augurs very well. Russian economy is, I think we covered this, but again, many of the people who sometimes don't believe economic data, but they have their own conclusions. Russian economy has not done well. It has contracted. It has also suffered ruble depreciation. So he needs a way out. He can't continue and sustain this. So he is willing to prepare and cut some losses in response or as a reciprocal for winning back some goodwill and for his economic recovery.
And viewers, I encourage you to look at that one monologue I had done about the importance of the Dnipro River. It practically divides Ukraine into two parts. It's a very wide river. At its narrowest, it is supposed to be 3 kilometers. A very, very wide river, and you can't put barges, or you can't, somehow create some new bridges to get across. You remember that one of the key bridges was blown up by Ukrainian tanker. We showed you that also. So a lot of things have happened. I think this means that they are still back with the two Donbass region provinces only, because I don't think Kharkiv is also, some of the Kharkiv still Russians hold. This is where things stand today, to the best of my knowledge. And let's move on to the next topic, which is the United States has said that it will continue its aid to Ukraine and it will be uninterrupted. And the UK trade minister to visit to Taiwan has been scoffed by China. Now, China has been rattling saber. Anything anyone does with Taiwan, these people get up and start making noise. That's just the way they have been doing it. Sridharji, wrap it up. Do you think anything can be expected from the G20 meeting, sir?
First and foremost, I think this Taiwan saber rattling goes on. I think sooner than later, Xi Jinping is going to face the same consequences that Russia has faced in terms of the economic issues. The only thing is that there's about 1.3 billion people, so Xi has got a bigger problem to deal with. As far as the G20 is concerned, it's very clear that they will not be able to get a communique, because of the problem that Russia is posing. So I think the damage control or whatever the backdoor maneuvering that India needed to do has done with the Russians. As far as the Xi Jinping meeting, which is likely to happen, I cannot read. I don't know. Mr. Biden seems to have went backwards to have this meeting. He will also be at the ASEAN summit or APEC summit. So he's trying to use these two meetings to meet with Xi Jinping. What he's trying to do, we don't know. Knowing now that investigations are certain on Hunter Biden's dealing with China, with House going into the Republican hands.
Absolutely. So we'll get ready for some fireworks on that, and we will give you a ringside seat as these things play out. And viewers, we have a double header coming up. So 3 programs within a matter of 4 hours. We apologize for putting it such a tight schedule, but there are things happening in the world that you should be aware of. At 8 p.m., Pandit Satish Kumar Sharma talks about the warping of the report on the Leicester riots, as well as BBC's misreporting. At 9:30, we're going to be joined by B.R. Srinivasan about the refusal of the Tamil Nadu government to implement the economically weaker section 10% quota. Shame on them. So you're going to listen to a little bit on that also, because look at, if you watch it, you'll understand what they are pegging the reason for that. So anyway, so 3 programs within a matter of 4 hours. Thanks for your support once again, and we'll see you very shortly at 8 p.m. to listen to Pandit Satish Kumar Sharma ji. Namaskar, Sridhar ji, and we'll be back again on Sunday.
Thank you. Namaskar. Have a wonderful Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we'll see you on Sunday.